Imagine this. You've spent thousands of dollars on a new sales funnel. You've hired a top-tier copywriter. Their writing and their ads are algorithmically perfect, but your revenue hasn't budged. And you've been at it for 6 months, you're on the verge of giving up, you're totally convinced that your business model is broken. This was one of our clients. They were burning cash into a funnel that wasn't converting. Their team was demoralized and every morning felt heavy with this sense of gloom, of failure. We went through their funnel, their copy, and what we found wasn't the problem in the funnel itself in the business, but it was in their voice. It wasn't their strategy, it was their sound. And it sounds almost too simple to be true, but the moment we focused on their delivery, everything changed. I'm Lisa Hugo. I have worked with hundreds of leaders to refine their voice and their communication skills, and it never ceases to amaze me how this skill is so often undervalued and underdeveloped. Your voice is your most valuable tool, and it's the bridge that connects your message with your ideal customer. And it functions at every stage of your marketing funnel. At the top of the funnel, if people don't connect with you emotionally through your videos or your content, you'll never get them into your world. In the middle of the funnel, if your presentation isn't coming across with authenticity, credibility, and trust, they will never book the call. And at the bottom of the funnel, if your voice is failing on that sales call, you will never get the sale. And this was the problem our client had. Their voice sounded weak, uncertain, uninspired, and they were accidentally telling every prospect that they didn't really believe in what they were selling. Once we transformed their delivery, everything changed. Their lead flow doubled, their retention on their webinar tripled, they had more calls, and they started closing at 50% and more. Their sales calls started to feel like conversations. Their presentations became compelling and their revenue started to climb. In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 core vocal shifts that turned everything around for our client. And these are the exact practical techniques that took their business from flatlining to flourishing. And I'm going to show you why your voice is a critical business asset, what to listen for, and exactly how to fix it starting today. Okay, so the very first and most important shift starts with something that you've been doing your entire life, but you might be doing it wrong in high stakes moments. And that is breathing. If you've been in my world for any length of time, you will have heard me say frequently, your breath is the foundation for all great speaking. Now, so many of us, especially when the pressure is on, we breathe from our chests. You can see in meetings people's shoulders rising and falling with every short, shallow breath. And this kind of breathing is a biological signal for stress. It's your body's fight or flight response that's kicking in, and it can quietly sabotage your voice. Shallow chest breathings mean you have inconsistent, weak airflow to your vocal cords. And when this happens, your voice sounds thin, shaky, lacking authority. It's a voice that might crack under pressure. It's a voice that communicates nervousness, not confidence. And when you sound nervous, your audience feels nervous. And they start to question your credibility before you've even finished your first sentence. The solution is to learn how to power your voice with its real engine. Your true source of vocal support is your diaphragm. And this was the very first thing that we worked on with our client to make them sound confident, clear, and in control. So here is a first exercise that you can do right now. I want you to place one hand on your chest and the other on your belly, just underneath your rib cage. Now, take a slow, deep breath in. And blow out. Now, if you're like many people, you probably felt your chest and your shoulders rise, not your stomach expand. And that's a habit we need to break. Now, we're going to do it again, but this time I want you to consciously keep your chest and your shoulders still. None of this. And breathe in through the nose. Focus on expanding your belly. Your hand should be pushed outwards by your stomach. A bit like you've got a balloon inflating in your stomach area here. And then you breathe out and it goes flat. That is diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, let's try it again. Breathe in, belly expands, breathe out and it collapses. Now, if you're struggling to get this to work, instead of breathing first, use the breath that you already have in your body and breathe out on a shh. Try that again. No breathing in. Shh. Now, at the end, of course, you have to breathe in, but you're going to find that the minute you relax those muscles that have engaged, then your breath will naturally restore itself back down. I want you to do this 10 times. This technique does two things. It gives you a deep, stable column of air to support your voice, and this is what creates a rich, resonant, steady tone. Your voice will immediately sound more grounded and more authoritative. Second, breathing this way has a profound calming effect on your nervous system. It helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's rest and digest mode. And that immediately dials back in the stress response so you stay calm and in control. Now, before every sales call and every presentation, every video recording, we had our client connect with their breath, and you should too. The result was a foundation of calm confidence that prospects could literally hear. Okay, the second vocal flaw that was costing our client customers is what I call the credibility killer. A weak, ineffective use of pitch. Pitch is how high or how low your voice is, and how you use it is important for conveying meaning and authority. Now, there are two common pitch problems that can undermine your credibility: monotone and the uptalk. Now, the monotone voice is flat with very little variation. It signals that you're bored, it's disinterested, it lacks energy, just like this. If you sound bored by what you're saying, why would anybody else want to listen to you? It's an attention killer. And a monotone delivery can quickly disengage a listener, and that disengagement then leads to lost sales. But even more damaging, though, is the uptalk. This is the habit of ending statements with a rising inflection, making them sound like questions, just like this. For example, instead of saying, "Our solution will increase your efficiency," it comes out as, "Our solution will increase your efficiency." Now, in a high-stakes business setting, this vocal habit can be poison to your credibility. It makes you sound uncertain, as if you're looking for approval for your own statements. And it subconsciously asks the listener, "Is this okay? Do you agree?" instead of confidently declaring a fact. And it erodes trust and can make you sound like a junior member of your team, not as an expert. Now, the solution is to find and command your grounded, authoritative pitch. And this doesn't mean forcing an unnaturally deep voice, but it means finding the natural, resonant lower end of your range. Here's an exercise. I want you to say the word mm-hmm, or the sound mm-hmm, just like you're agreeing with somebody thoughtfully. Mm-hmm. Feel the vibration mm-hmm in the chest and at the front of your face. That's your natural resonant pitch. That's the home base for your voice. Now, using the second of those two pitches, mm-hmm, say, "Hi, how are you?" Using that lower pitch, "Hi, how are you?" That is your optimum pitch. Even when we are stressed or nervous, our pitch is going to raise and start to sound tight, tense, and even edgy. So doing this little exercise combined with the breathing is going to ground you and your voice. So now let's practice killing that uptalk. Take a simple factual statement like, "My name is Lisa," or "We are the best solution for this problem." Say it out loud. Say it and make sure that you guide your pitch downwards at the end of the sentence. Not, "We are the best solution for this problem." "We are the best solution for this problem." Feel the difference. The first version asks for permission. The second one makes a statement of fact, and it conveys certainty. We need to train our ears to our sounds. If you use uptalk, you likely don't even realize that you're doing it. Now, we created awareness in our client. We had them record their calls and listen specifically for those rising inflections on statements. And anytime they heard it, it was flagged. By consciously practicing a grounded pitch and a falling intonation on their statements, they stopped sounding like they were asking for the business and they started sounding like they deserved it. All right, the third and the final piece of this puzzle is pace. How fast or how slow you speak isn't just a detail, it's a powerful tool for controlling the room and conveying confidence. The most common mistake that people make, especially when they're nervous or passionate, is speaking too quickly. This was certainly an issue with our client. When you talk a mile a minute, you can send a signal of anxiety. It might suggest you're trying to get through your material before somebody interrupts you or they figure out that you don't belong. And it overwhelms the listener, making it hard for them to process what you're saying, let alone ask any questions. A rushed delivery can come across as desperate. Now, the solution to a rushed pace is the strategic use of the pause. Confident speakers are not afraid of silence. They use it. Pausing does a lot of really important things. First, it gives your listeners a moment to digest what you just said. Now, this is crucial when you're talking about complex ideas. Second, a well-paced pause before or after a key point is like taking a verbal highlighter to your words. It signals to the audience, pay attention, this is important. And it adds weight and gravity to what you're saying. And finally, pausing can make you sound more thoughtful and deliberate. It gives the impression that you are choosing your words with care, which makes those words seem more valuable. Now, here's the third exercise. It's incredibly simple. I want you to read any sentence out loud, but this time you're going to add a 1-second pause where you normally wouldn't. For example, we believe that this is the best way forward. We believe this is the best path forward. Or, the most important metric is customer retention. But better, the most important metric is customer retention. Feel the difference? It's going to feel awkward at first when you do this. Your brain will be screaming to you to fill that silence. Resist it. Record yourself doing this. Listen to how that tiny pause changes the impact of the sentence. It creates suspense and it draws the listener in. We had our client implement this simple rule after talking about one of the key benefits or after dropping the price. They had to take a full, silent breath before saying anything else. Deafening silence. It's hard to do it at first, but it makes an incredible difference because your prospects will start filling that silence. And they'll often start explaining why this was beneficial to them, what important lessons they've learned, or ask questions how to move forward. So by simply slowing down and embracing the pause, our client shifted the entire dynamic. They went from being pushy and rushed to confident and clear. So let's recap these 3 core vocal shifts. The first one is support your voice from your diaphragm, not from your chest. This builds a foundation of calm and vocal strength. Second, command your pitch. Ground your voice in its natural resonant tone and use a falling intonation pattern at the end of sentences to demonstrate authority and eliminate any of those credibility-killing uptalks. And third, control your pace. Slow down and use these strategic pauses to add weight to your words and to command the room. It was mastering these 3 simple techniques, breath, pitch, and pace, that transformed our client's business. And it's that dramatic. They now sound as confident as they are. They no longer undermine their own credibility. Your voice is a conversion tool. It can either amplify a strong offer or erode trust and kill the deal before it even has a chance. Fixing your voice isn't about becoming someone else. It's about making sure the way you sound aligns with the expertise and the value that you already have. Whether you're trying to build connection at the top of your funnel, create trust in the middle, or close sales at the bottom, your voice is the key. Now, if you would like to know how we can work with you to make sure your voice is aligned at every stage of your funnel, go watch this video here. The link is also in the description below, and we'll speak soon.